Ancient Egypt was an undisputed superpower. At its peak, the empire was ruled by a pharaoh who demanded to be worshipped as a literal god, a status maintained through the absolute, brutal subjugation of the Bani Israel. But a single night of sleep threatened that total control. Pharaoh experienced a terrifying vision, a massive fire sweeping in from the region of Sham, incinerating the homes of his Egyptian elite, while leaving the enslaved Israelites entirely unharmed. The state astrologers quickly decoded the imagery. They warned Pharaoh that a boy would soon be born among the Bani Israel, a child destined to dismantle his entire reign and end his kingship. A prophecy presents a unique problem for a dictator. When an enemy is an adult, a tyrant can simply imprison or execute them. But when the threat is an unformed destiny, the absolute ruler is forced into a shadowboxing match, attempting to outmaneuver fate itself. Pharaoh immediately weaponized the state military apparatus. He issued a blanket decree for his soldiers to slaughter every single newborn boy across the Israelite population. The state executed a complex economic pivot. Complete infanticide would rapidly destroy their future slave workforce. Pharaoh's advisors designed a compromise, a timeline dividing into alternating paths, sparing boys 1 year and executing them the next. Harun was born during a preserved year, but Musa arrived right into a killing year, facing immediate eradication. By tying the prophecy to a strict schedule of state-sponsored death, Pharaoh believed he had constructed a flawless system of systemic control. He assumed he had mathematically eliminated any chance for the child to survive. Terrified of the intense military surveillance searching her home, Musa's mother received divine inspiration for a desperate countermeasure. She placed her newborn into a small wooden basket and released it into the dark, churning waters of the Nile. Rather than carrying the basket away to a distant, safe shore, the river acted as a direct conveyor belt. It delivered the child straight into the private ponds of Pharaoh's own palace. The basket was intercepted by Malika, Pharaoh's wife. Instead of seeing an Israelite threat that required immediate execution, she looked at the infant and was instantly overcome with unexpected maternal empathy. She pleaded to adopt the boy. Pharaoh reluctantly conceded, but explicitly stated that the child would be the coolness of her eyes, but not his. By refusing to claim the boy as his own joy, he sealed his distance from the child. The heavily fortified palace walls were engineered exclusively to protect the tyrant from external threats. Now those exact defenses were providing state-sponsored sanctuary to his prophesied destroyer. Almost immediately, a biological crisis emerged. The infant Musa aggressively refused to consume milk from any of the royal Egyptian wet nurses, risking starvation right inside the safety of the palace. Musa's older sister had secretly tracked the basket downstream. Seeing the panic, she infiltrated the court and casually suggested a woman from her own enslaved community who could properly nurse the child. The woman brought into the royal court was Musa's actual biological mother. The moment she held him, the baby accepted the milk. This flowchart illustrates the political and financial absurdity of the situation. Money flows from the state treasury, out as a royal stipend, directly to the Israelite mother, all to nourish the prophesied threat. Pharaoh is literally paying the boy's actual mother to raise him. Pharaoh poured massive resources into cheating fate, yet that expenditure was entirely hijacked. He found himself directly financing the survival and upbringing of his own doom. Years passed and Musa grew safely to adulthood. He was protected, highly educated, and afforded extreme privilege within the very epicenter of the Egyptian empire. Growing up in the palace equipped Musa with a supreme level of confidence and deep insider knowledge, an intimate understanding of Egyptian politics that an enslaved person in the outer camps would never possess. As an adult, Musa eventually left Egypt, where he was elevated to prophethood by Allah. He was then tasked with returning to the very court that raised him to demand the freedom of his people. The empire suffered a massive strategic failure. Its own centralized wealth and supreme knowledge were used as the training ground to forge the liberator of the people it oppressed. The conflict reached its climax at the shores of the Red Sea. Musa led Bani Israel to freedom, cornered by Pharaoh's massive military machine in relentless pursuit, until the sea miraculously split, parting into towering vertical walls of water to reveal a dry path. The Israelites crossed the exposed seabed safely, but when Pharaoh's arrogance drove his army into the trench, the waters violently collapsed, instantly drowning the empire's ultimate hard power. Looking back at the beginning of his reign, Pharaoh's terrifying dream had been flawlessly realized. Total destruction had arrived exactly as predicted, delivered by the hands of an Israelite child. True power does not rest in armies or ruthless policies. The harder a tyrant tries to violently suppress divine justice, the more precisely they build the exact stage for their own